situation where they're almost doing the exact same kind of strategy or build as you were saying.
Now, one thing to note here, let's give it a little quick update on where these guys are at in terms of their results. Right now, MKP sitting in the #1 slot, 4-1. He still has a couple more games to play. Overall in games, he's 10-5. Hart, this is his last game. So he's currently in #4 spot. He's split 9 games won, 9 games lost. He took out Huck, Parting, and MC, so he's kind of been a Protoss killer here. Yeah. But this will be his last game. Obviously, a victory would put him at 4-3. A loss would put him at 3-4. But certainly, it would put him in contention for the top 4 if he beats Marineking, no problem. So here in the northeast position as the blue Protoss, it is Complexity Hart. And down here in the southeast position as the red Terran, it's Marineking Prime. Now, can you tell us a little bit about, Hart? Can you give us any kind of cool insight, being a teammate of his? Anything you can, offer up? You could tell us, QXC?
He likes to Marine Tank Banshee all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've played him. We played a couple of sets, both in-house and just we met in a tournament or two. And that was what he did to me. A couple of times, I think.
And I mean, he's pretty brutal with his control, with his decisions. We talked a little bit about it. One thing I'm kind of impressed with what Hart does is I feel like he really gives a lot of thought and consideration to his army placement. And I don't necessarily even mean in battles, but we saw him with his amazing 3-0 versus Parting, where in one particular game, he won because his army was positioned outside of his opponent's main, and as his opponent pushed to go try to kill him, he just walked up and did it. I mean, it seemed like it was a really thought out and kind of, just a very interesting strategy here. But we're already seeing big variation. No gas as will be scouted here by Complexity Hart. Over on Hart's side, he does have the single gas up right now.
Yep.
And finish up a supply depot, first Marine out. So we're going to get a tech lab on there, and we will.
That's interesting. And very typical Marineking style, he's not scouting early on. We see this actually from him quite a bit. He won't really scout at all until even the 20 or 23 supply mark. He's actually... Okay, so Marineking's actually going double gas now, straight after. So this does mean he's going to go into some kind of tech build. I expect to see a factory pretty soon. And then maybe even a early Banshee. Usually you don't get cloak on it, but he might, depending on what he's doing. And from Hart, we actually do see a command center. Interesting that he's not putting it on the low ground. That may be because he doesn't want it to get scouted. He might be worried that Marineking was actually doing some kind of... No. He saw the command center. Yeah. So I actually don't agree with that. Unless
you would put it on the low ground?
Yeah, unless his sole intention is to keep Marineking from scouting it, but... you've got that Marine there, you've got a Reaper out. If you get that Reaper, you're basically either going for an expander or you're going for tech, and depending on your follow-up, you can usually kind of figure out what you think your opponent's doing, even if you don't see it. And that was actually really nice for Marineking. If you can kill that SCV while it's building the command center, you'll end up delaying it a good 15 or 20 seconds while another SCV gets down there.
So he's saved just by the skin of a single little twist of a screw there, and he does manage to get the command center up, already going to an orbital. Behind this, we're going to have 2 additional racks coming out from Hart. This is kind of what we expected to see. Still on 1 gas, and with the tech lab already getting his stim. Now, you had mentioned that we were going to see potentially, well, the factory did go down, and we don't have a tech lab on it first. He's going to get a single Hellion out, but his starport is right behind that.
Yeah, and we'll see if he builds a tech lab on the factory, then we can expect to probably see Banshees. He could be going straight into tank play, but basically what he's going to do with this Hellion, he's going to check the watchtower. Probably, yeah, okay, so he is going to check the watchtower. He wants to be careful, though, because if he's not, then he can actually lose that Hellion to the Reaper. And then he'll probably at some point want to check around the map to get a better feel of what his opponent is doing. He still really doesn't have much information about that.
Yeah. Now, one thing, well, the stim looks like it's actually, no, what was I? No, the stim is finished, excuse me, for Hart. He'd already started his +1 weapons as his engineering bay right above his main. So obviously that'll be one advantage that Hart has here. But siege mode already coming out from Marineking, and as you mentioned, he could just be going right into tanks, and that's exactly what he's doing. Right now, just out of the starport, we don't have anything quite yet, but it looks like he's going to move out already with siege halfway done. Going to try to get a little bit of control here at the front of his opponent's base. Up that ramp, we just see a lot of bio here from Hart, and of course it's going to be a pretty powerful set of bio. And here we go. This is that positioning that I'm talking about, using a lot of different alleyways of the... What, he's inside now? Oh, yep. Yeah, doing a lot of damage here. He's going to have to pull all these guys back. Already killed quite a few SCVs as we take a look here. 3 have gone down. He's going to hop up into the high ground, be able to do a lot of damage from there. And look at this coming up from the back.
Yep.
We almost get to see that interception happen right there by Hart. But that is exactly the kind of thoughtfulness to positioning and really getting, you know, sneaking around your opponent and not letting them see what they need to see. I really think that that's great by Hart.
Yeah, and this is really interesting. There's a lot of weird things going on. The Reaper, for whatever reason, Marineking felt like he had to bring his whole army back to deal with that. But Hart did get some information. The fact that it took so long for Marineking to deal with it meant that Marineking's army was obviously not in his base, and so he can be expecting a push or something similar right about now. We do see Marineking is favoring this alley. Look at the small choke there. It makes it very hard for him to engage without taking a lot of damage from that splash. And now actually what Hart wants to do, if he could be closer to his opponent's base right now, he could do a very nice counterattack. Otherwise, he would have wanted to catch that drop right as he had lifted up the units. Like basically right as all those units are in the medevacs, Marineking's army is much, much weaker.
Now we do have the 2 tanks on the low ground now, and it looks like Hart's army is going to be making its way back. A lot of SCVs going to be pulled here, and it looks like from the back. Nice. Good job, good decision.
And actually, he gets those 2 tanks right. Wow. You could see they were just about to fire a shot, and so he took much less damage from that than he needed to. But he did lose quite a number of SCVs pulling in that way.
Yeah, in fact, let's just take a quick look there. 13 SCVs are down. If we take a look, 44 to 37 in Marineking's favor, but not like by a whole lot here. I mean, right now MKP's Marines and Bio are at 0-0, and we already see +1. Do we have armor on the way? Yes, yep. Armor is
about
incoming.
Halfway.
So, I mean, with the loss of those tanks, there's only the 1 single tank here. I guess we have 1 up on the high ground to help defend as well. We're going to immediately see a bunker go down to try to defend against this, but Hart's looking like he's going to reinforce. He doesn't have to attack, but he's going to definitely put MKP in a defensive posture here.
Right, and that's actually okay for Marineking because he should not be thinking about attacking until at least he's got some of these upgrades going. It's going to be pretty hard for him to move out without stim once medevacs come out. And medevacs, wait, how did? I would expect Hart's medevacs to come out first because Marineking did. I mean, yeah, Marineking got that 1 medevac, but then Marineking was spending a lot of his gas on those siege tanks.
Right.
And I think Hart's tech was delayed a little bit. You can see he's already making tanks, so that might be part of it. But if you've got Marine tank and no stim, you definitely do not want to try and fight against Marine medevac that does have stim. That would be bad. So yeah. Marineking's just going to be hanging out for a little bit, and you can see that in the fact that he got his 3rd command center. He got that way before anything really happened. Like the attack ended and he's like, okay, I'm not going to move out for a while. I'll just get this 3rd command center and I'll get my economy going.
And right now, just taking a look, SCV count 58, still maintaining that lead. But it seems like had he not even gone for that attack, like how far ahead would his opponent be right now, just based off the decisions that he has made? Single Marine here trying to deny this 3rd from going down, but now that the rocks are gone, it should be a problem. In fact, Marine's going to just go ahead and stim up, take 2 hits from that siege tank, and that'll be over and done with. A great Marine right here, and oh, we have a drop. Nice, nice call. It's going down right here at the 3rd, going to stop this gas from going down.
Actually, a little bit premature on that drop. Really what you want to do is wait for the SCVs to transfer, and then when you do that drop, you can get a whole bunch of kills. So he dropped a little bit too early. The command center's not even down. Like, yeah, he kills a gas, he kills 2 SCVs, but he could have gotten a lot more out of it.
So, yep, he does go ahead and drop back off, and just again continuing to sort of set the pace of this game. which is something that we usually see Marineking doing. He's usually the one setting the pace with the aggression, but when you're versus someone who can throw, you know, just the same level of aggression at you, it can be pretty crazy. So. Oh, that little drop is going to go back into the third once again.
This is going to be really strong, but there's also a battle in the middle, and Hart sieges up, but that is a lot of Marines. At the same time, the Marines at the third are going to focus that CC down. So Hart's got to split his attention, both players having a lot to take care of at the same time, but Marineking really came out on top in that battle in the center, and he's not able to get that orbital, and Marineking has quite a bit of units back home. That drop is not going to work, and now at Hart's third, we have the Marines and tanks moving in. There's a lot of damage. This command center will probably go down. Notice the rocks are not broken, so he can't easily defend it.
And the scary thing is he could just pick up and go right into the main after that, which looks relatively undefended as well. It looks like this is trying to make its way back, but what kind of reinforcements do we have? We have a bunch of Marines and a couple of tanks here just outside the main. Is he going to lift up and take it right into the main? He is. He's going to go from the third into a doom drop. There has not, there's just the one single tank here.
Now he needs to get those Marines back up.
Oh, wow, there it is. But the tank's not seized up quite yet. They could take out all the medevacs. Did he make a mistake here by unloading? I think the answer is yes. It looks like all of those Marines will be cleaned up. So a third for a third. I mean, Marineking did get his third back up.
Yeah.
Did he kill the orbital? He did.
Yeah, no, he definitely killed the orbital. This is not a great position for Hart right now. The one consolation he has is his 2-2 is much faster. If he can try and force an engagement right when that finishes, he might be able to get some compensation. And I think Marineking knows he's at an advantage, but Marineking just has a lot more stuff. And 2-2 has just finished for Hart.
And it's on its way for Marineking right now. So here we see Hart making his way around the back. Two Marines going to be here to spot exactly what's going on. I mean, Hart did the exact same thing earlier. Marineking just sort of saying, not a bad idea. Let me go ahead and do that. And he does have tower vision, which is going to be very important because this is the only route you can take, you know, to avoid that vision. So the one thing about it is if you go too far around, the opponent might be able to just walk right up into the natural, but both players showing definitely a high level of respect towards the other, not really wanting to engage, and there another stim.
I'm not sure if Marineking is aware of how close his 2-2 is. He seems to be very willing to commit to a battle that he might want to avoid for just a little bit longer, but his army is much bigger. If we go to the units tab, we can see, well, it's actually not that much bigger. It seems much bigger in the center. Maybe Hart is not doing as good of a job of rallying to the middle, and we see Marineking's army in this big ball, the tanks at the front, a lot of medevacs, very strong army. So notice on the right, we haven't been covering it too much, but there's always these two units. Both players really want to keep track of this back alley.
Yeah.
Because if the other person maneuvers through, and we have a big push coming in the middle, tanks sieging up, 2-2 is done for Marineking, but look at the concave from Hart. That is very, very nice, but Marineking actually just has too many units, crushing through Hart's army.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 155 to 96 supply. It looks like we are going to have a drop here in the third, but there is a couple of Vikings and Marines to clean it up. And GG, game one does go to Marineking Prime. And I got to tell you, I mean, actually, based off of how we started, where we saw Hart with the early upgrades, you know, you talked a little bit about that drop, maybe going in a little bit too early.
Yep.
But it looked like, you know, for at least the initial portion of that game, that Hart was in a pretty good position.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely doing good just up until the point where that siege up happened below his natural, and he just didn't deal with it well enough. He needed to. There were, like I said, there were two timings. You get it either when the units get picked up in the medevac, or you get it before they siege, or you backstab when that army is still moving out. And he just didn't have the information he needed to make those decisions the way he needed to. And from there, he got behind on workers, he got behind on tank count, And that next battle really swung the game in Marineking's favor.
I want to ask you a little bit about the killing of the third and then the doom drop that he tried to transition to from there. Do you feel like if Hart was in a better position when that actually took place to maybe